Hi, and welcome back to our Getting Started series. In this video, we're going to talk about client documentation, the flow of that, how it works in Therabyte, and how it's connected in different places. So let's jump in. We're going to start here in our Notes tab to go over the different functionalities of the notes, and then we're going to look at two other places within Therabyte that you can log documentation for your client, whether it's a chart note, adding an attachment, or an upload. So here we go. We have 6 related client events. So when we go ahead and hit new here, it's going to default to a session event. If we're going to take a look at video sessions, which are kind of the hot topic these days, is we have the option to either make that a direct or an indirect event. So if it's an indirect event, what you'll notice here first is that we're logging the status of this note. Whereas if it's a direct event, we're logging the attendance. So the understanding here is that with a direct event, the client is directly involved. They're part of it. And if we are logging an indirect event, then they're not present. So we're just marking the status. So we're going to take a look at a direct event. We'll go ahead and pick our service. Then we'll pick our client. And we also have the option to bring in a third-party participant on some of these. So for example, with a video session, we can include a third-party participant. And then we'll go ahead and mark the attendance. So now that we have the details done, we're going to go through and we can switch up the title to make it mean more to us. And we have the option as well. So this is an assessment and we're going to add in our template. So just noting that if you do add in a template, you want to do it first because when you load the template, it is going to rewrite anything that's already been written in the narrative box. And I'll show you where these templates are created in just a moment. So here we go, we have the option. And so now it's a lot of just kind of plug and play because we are using this template. Once we've put in the information that we want and we've added any comments, we can add in more checkboxes, we can bring in a chart, and we can also add in a picture. So adding in a picture down here. I love adding in pictures because it really just gives you that visual of what it was you were working on or what it was you were doing during that session. So this happens to be a picture that one of my client's parents took for me while I was on video. So you can see with the drag and drop option here, you can resize that picture to fit your needs. And then we can add in our plan. And this is really exciting. We can add in any information here, and this information is going to be shared directly to the client portal. So with our notes, we do have the option to share the entire note to the client portal so that your client can see that note, or you can choose to only share the homework box. So we share the homework box by clicking on this toggle here. And when it's pink, you'll see that we've now turned on the sharing. So our client is now going to be able to have the access to see only this section of this chart note. And lastly, we can add in attachments. So it could be a picture, it could be a document, and we can add those in here. So they're, time-stamped and dated and in the right place. So lots of options here. I breezed past this one and so let's take a look at goals. The goals are goals that we had picked when we were setting up our client chart. And so we can pull those goals in. We can also add in a new goal, and that will then share back to the client chart. So from here, we can add in any comments specific to this session and to this goal. We're going to go ahead and save that chart note. So it's letting us know, awesome, it has been saved successfully. So once it's been saved, we can either close out because we want to come back to it, or we can choose to sign it. So just noting that you have a 24-hour grace period to amend that note, after which it's locked. So don't sign until you're until you're ready. And even at that point, you do have the option to add comments, and I'll show you how that works. So just down here, we do have a comment option. And so if you have signed that note and you're like, oh, I meant to add in something and the 24 hours has passed, you can still add in that comment. So that, that will stay there, and you can see your initials will go right beside it. So if you need to export this note for any reason, for sharing, you can export it with or without a password. You can send it as an attachment to an email, or even better, you can share it directly to the client portal. So the pink dot here is indicating that we've enabled and shared the homework box, but now we want to go ahead and share the entire note to the client portal. So we're going to go ahead and share that. So our note has been shared. Fantastic. Other features here, you can notice, you can take a look at the history of the signatures, and we'll go ahead and close out of there. So now we can see that that has been signed. So we talked about templates. This is where we create our templates, and you can see it's very similar in functionality. You can create templates in different formats and different document types, and they will display just so. All right, so we've looked at creating a chart note, creating a template. Now let's see where else we have these functions within our Therabyte portal. So we can come to clients and we can take a look at what we call the client chart modal. So here in the client chart modal, this is where we have those goals that we were talking about. And so we have, when we click on that, we can see all of the goals that this particular client is currently working on. Those are the ones that were pulled into our client chart. So in the Files tab, here we have the same functionality as from the Notes tab. So we get that drop down and we have the different type of note options. Okay, there we go. So we're just going to go ahead and create a new note. And I just want to pull your attention to some of the different options. So the first 6 items here are all related to a service. Because automation is really important to the workflow of Therabyte and the ability to save you more time, these 6 client-related items are tied to a service, which creates automation for your invoicing. And so when you're choosing an item, it's important to choose a service that is going to be related to what it is that you're choosing, because that's going to determine how this item is billed to your client. So all of the services, most of them are attached to a dollar value. You can also set up a service for a $0 value, depending on your needs and the way you invoice your clients. We've also set up a non-billable note as an option for you. If you don't want to attach a service to it, then it won't show up on your invoice. And all you're doing is just putting in the client's name and the information that you want. So it's just a really quick way to get some information on the chart, but it's not going to be tied back to a service, which won't include it on the invoice. The last place we can chart on our client is what we would have reviewed when we went over the scheduler. So in the scheduler, in the 3rd step, this is where we do our charting. And you'll notice that we have very similar features here. So you're choosing that indirect or direct, and when you get that indirect, the status is its status rather than attendance. Pull in your goals. You have the same ability to pull in a template, bring in pictures and tables, bring in attachments, and to add information to that homework box. So we find that, we wanted to create a lot of functionality in the scheduler, and this is a fantastic tool. It's just really quick. You don't have to leave and go elsewhere. But if you are writing a longer note, you might start here in the scheduler and then pop to the Notes tab to add a little bit more information, or you may be adding multiple notes because you've had a number of things happen with a client, and so you want to do that right from the client modal. So There you go. We've reviewed client documentation, how we can do that from the Notes tab, the Scheduler, and the Client Chart modal. And we've taken a look at all of the different features that are available there. So thanks so much for this tour, joining me on this tour of documentation, and looking forward to seeing you in the next video.